when I was as young as I was, I found that my spirituality and this belief that God exists was the one thing that I could hold on to. So it's not I came out of the hard times then found God. No. I found
that's
God
all you
in
had.
the middle of the hard time, because that's all I had.
Yeah.
And I find that, faith does drive hope.
Yeah.
And a lot of people and a lot of young people who've gone through what they've gone through, what I've gone through, there's a lot of, I just think if you don't have faith, if you have nothing to hold on to, you either tend to substances, to abuse and numb that pain.
I think God put eternity in us, or a longing for something that as a human being you can never fill. So it's either you go to God to fill the void, or you go to substance or you continuously seek it in other people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And some people have all of the bad ways of handling that trauma.
Yeah.
I was just incredibly fortunate that I made the decision to go otherwise.
Sure.
I made the decision to not run to substance, to not run to alcohol, to not run to prostitution. Because when you've suffered not just physical or emotional abuse or that psychological breakdown, when you've suffered that sexual abuse where it's your entire sense of worth is determined by somebody else. When you've suffered neglect and abandonment from your very primary. I mean, today is my twins' birthday. They're turning 14 today.
Happy birthday, girls!
So I always say, I don't celebrate. I don't just celebrate that my children. It's my children's birthday. I celebrate that I've been here.
Yeah.
Every single moment of their lives, I've been here.
You chose them. You chose to stay. Yeah.
Right? So I think that as a child, when the people who could have protected you were not there to protect you, it does build up a sense of it's just me against the world. And I think I grew to lean closer to God, because it's a very lonely place to just as a child be navigating that it's
world
me
alone,
against the world, and navigating it alone.
Do you ever get angry at God, and respectfully so, like sit down and say, God, I know we've passed it. I know I'm in a better place, but I just don't get it. And how does your personal relationship with God look like? Because I'm part of the reason why I'm so excited or drawn to starting conversations is because I want us to move from seeing God, religion, spirituality as just this thing that happens at church. But I want to get to the core of the relationship where just like you, people don't have to turn to other things but can turn to God, because there's just honesty and there's truth in that.
Yeah. I have never been angry at God.
Wow.
I have never asked God, why me?
Wow.
I have never questioned, how could you let this happen to me?
Sure.
Let me say why I've never done that. First of all, I've never felt the need for it, because in a way, God, it feels like for me, God was my saving grace.
Okay.
So for me, God saved me from
I guess why you say you can never fully explain because it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Right?
Yeah.
And often when I sit and reflect back on my journey, I'm just like, a lot of people will send me messages and write me all these touching letters about what my story has done for them, but their question is always, but how did you do it? And I can tell you all the hows. I can tell you the decisions I've made. I can tell you the things I've done. I can tell you about going to psychologists. I can tell you about seeing priests. I can tell you all about that. But that's not the how.
That's not
the
it.
how is my faith. And
Sure.
And I really believe that God resides inside of me. And my relationship with God is so deep and spiritual. There's no go between. That's why, you speak about church and things like that. I go to church because I just want to go and worship with other people. It's
that's
not my
it.
connection to God.
I love what you said. And that's exactly what Paul says. Don't neglect going and meeting with other people. It's not about going to deepen your relationship there. No. That's in our own time. Church is about with other people.
And I mean, if you think about the people, because we are all human beings, and Unfortunately, and I mean, to be honest, this was triggered by what happened with me and my own spiritual leader when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I write about that in Baked in Pain. And, you know, we put...
I actually want you to share the story.
Yeah. They must still buy the book.
Okay, sorry.
no, but I'm quite happy to. I mean, at that young an age, I had found, you know, my role in the church. I had found my spirituality. I was quite active, and I had a spiritual leader, and you know, she was literally my guide, you know, and I was young though, man. I think I must have been like 10, you know, and one day I was sitting at home and I was just in my shorts, you know. Believe me, this shorts thing didn't start now.
It's your thing, girl.
It's my thing. And then she came and she was going past our house, and, you know, she called me out and I went to her. And she looked at me with such disgust. And she's like, a child of God doesn't wear short things like that.
Sure.
And in that moment, I just knew that no, man, there's something not right about that.
The same God.
But how easy is it for spiritual leaders or even people in a position of power to brainwash you to believe what they believe?
Oh my!
Because ultimately, our relationship with God is between us and God, nobody else.
That's why when Jesus said, "I don't leave you alone; I leave you with the Holy Spirit," and when we give our lives over, we say, "I accept the Holy Spirit to come into my life," which means now me and the Holy Spirit
decision.
get to
we're one.
We're one. We decide what's happening, not other people.
Yeah, and I think that for me started to show me that we put a lot of expectation and belief and responsibility on church leaders.
Wow.
We put them on a pedestal because they must be holy.
Yeah.
They must be like Jesus.
They must
be like
do
this.
that, talk like this.
We must find our own relationship with God.
Yeah.
You are lucky if you've got people on this earth who can help facilitate the strength of your community. But you cannot wait for them to be perfect for you to have a strong relationship with God. So I found mine, and I think in a way I'm incredibly grateful that I found it at such a young age, and it was not diluted by anyone. It was so pure and raw, and it was down to, God, I'm going to have to grow out of this situation, so help me get there.